Okay, Mr. Grindstaff,
The next
4C.
4C, the Delta Reform Act requires that the council do a report to the legislature on the Delta Plan adoption by March 31st of 2012, so the end of this month. We have included here for your review a draft letter. It's our intent to bring it back in 2 weeks at the next council meeting for approval and to then submit it to the legislature in compliance with the law. But we wanted to give you an early version, so if you have any comments or suggestions, that you can make those to me or Dan.
Okay, Ms. Gray.
Push the red down, or
So,
okay. I think it's a good letter, but I think we need to be careful that we're not implying that the council has actually voted to do certain things. I think the language should be, these are the things we're considering or looking at, or before us, and so forth.
I think that's a good suggestion, and I hadn't caught that, but Joe, it probably belongs in the Delta Plan development section, where you do talk about the 5 staff drafts. Say they're staff drafts, but I think you want to affirmatively say, as Ms. Gray does, that the council has reviewed these but has not adopted these staff drafts, and the council action will be taken to the final. I guess the next staff draft will, and then what changes we make will become the actual Delta Plan. I think that's the right place. May not be, but I think it is. Okay. Anyone else on this? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I had a couple comments.
Yes, sir.
Again, I don't know if I can be heard or not.
Well, let's see. Which button did you push on your microphone?
I didn't push any buttons.
it's working.
That's why you. Is it working?
Yes.
Okay.
I can go out in Morse code if you like. You can hear that. Just a couple comments. And Joe and I were talking about this before the meeting began. On page 5, we're talking about achieving a reliable water supply for California, protected, restored, enhanced Delta ecosystem. And it's this old bugaboo that comes up all the time, decreased reliance on Delta water. I wonder if we could put that in the context of growing future needs. Decrease reliance on Delta water to meet future statewide water supply needs through investment. And I'm not arguing with that, but if you don't put in there the fact that population is increasing and that needs will be increasing, it sounds like we're going to decrease the amount of water available.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that caption in boldface, achieving a reliable water supply, statute actually says a more reliable water supply. Which is probably worth noting. It's a useful qualifier, since you could never get no water manager I've ever talked to said you have 100% guarantee of 100% of water for 100% of the years forever in the future. And it's probably worth looking, Joe, at that decreased reliance language again to see whether this couldn't be phrased differently.
Okay.
Actually, it's reduced reliance, by the way.
Yeah, right.
But the other thing is, it's couched in the discussion of state strategy of investing in improved regional supplies, conservation, and water use efficiency, which is the statutory language. Yet what you're suggesting is some more nuanced discussion like that?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it just seems like the amount of water is going to be decreased.
Is going to be what?
Decreased. That there's going to be less supply of water available, the way this thing reads. And I don't think anybody's going to disagree that the population will be growing and that the needs will be increasing. So
I think that's true, and I think we can do it in the context of growth. I think it is important to note that in our EIR, we in fact do acknowledge the fact that all of the projections are that the ability to supply water out of the delta because of the snowmelt changing is going to decrease. So by 2050, it's expected to decrease by 10%, and as it goes on to 2100, even more than that. So the context probably is that, yes, we have growth, but we also have decreasing ability with the current system anyway to take water.
Other methods.
Exactly.
By developing
And
more
that's the
storage, by
important
improving
aspect of it.
conveyance. So you want some context language, which I think is
Well,
appropriate.
I'd like to suggest you also consider what Randy's argued to us for a long time, and he has, I think your phrase is, California supply of water supply is volatile, which is a word that covers the wide variations from year to year and region to region, but also allows an understanding of climate change impacts and so on. So if you match up volatility with Hank's point, I think it makes for a better discussion.
All right, we will look at that and bring something different back next
That's a
month.
good suggestion.
And on page 6,
Page 6.
in the middle, we talk about the fifth staff draft is organized as follows, and we start with Chapter 2. What happened to Chapter 1?
It's still there. So,
Can we
Good
acknowledge
point.
his presence by referring to it?
yes.
And then 2 on the next page, on page 7, where it talks about the Bay Delta Conservation Plan. 2 really questions. The end of that first paragraph, it says, when completed and if it meets certain statutory requirements. What are those statutory requirements?
I'll read them to you. This is Water Code Section 85320. It's part of our Act, and it deals with the Bay Delta Conservation Plan. It says, BDCP shall not be incorporated into the Delta Plan, and the public benefits associated with the BDCP shall not be eligible for state funding unless BDCP does all of the following. First, complies with Fish and Game Code. This is the NCCP designation. The second is comply with CEQA. Chris, follow me if I'm wrong. And then it says, and they must include a comprehensive review and analysis of all the following: reasonable range of flow criteria, rate of diversion, et cetera, a reasonable range of delta conveyance alternatives, including through delta, dual conveyance, isolated conveyance, blah, blah, blah. C, the potential effect of climate change, possible sea level rise of up to 55 inches, and possible changes in total precipitation and runoff patterns, vis-a-vis your earlier comment. Potential effects on migratory fish, effects on the Sacramento River and San Joaquin River flood management, the resilience and recovery of delta conveyance alternatives in the event of catastrophic loss caused by earthquake or flood or other natural disasters, the potential effects of each delta conveyance alternative on delta water quality. And then it's got a bunch of other things. Department has to consult with DWR consults with the council and the Delta Independent Science Board, which Dr. Goodwin is involved in. It designates us as a responsible agency. And then it gets down to that section. Fish and Game makes its determination as to whether they've cleared all of those hurdles and have been approved as a habitat conservation plan under the Federal Endangered Species Act. Chris, am I right on this?
Yeah.
Then, if that determination is made, any person can appeal that Fish and Game determination to the council. But that's what they mean by the
But
term.
Fish and Game are the only group making the determination?
Only state agency. The federal agencies have to give clearance under the Endangered Species Act, and they make their own determination. I mean,
But this group doesn't have any role to play in determining whether the statutory requirements are met.
the federal government?
No,
Delta
the
Stewardship
council does have a role. The council is the appeals body,
Potential appeal body.
potential appeal body.
Yeah.
It's almost unthinkable that somebody won't appeal it when the time comes. And since we're